The warehouse is quiet, not asleep. Cardboard exhales. Plastic straps click back to their resting teeth. Fluorescents hum like they're thinking. A cart limps. Thup, thup, thup. A label printer clears its throat, decides, and prints a name that hasn't happened yet. Somewhere between row H and row J, a lid learns a new word. Hiss. Ah. Official note says, 12-minute outage, gate fault, counting error, staff abandonment, but the clipboard shows 3 pressure marks where ink should be. The cage holds 3 boxes that didn't exist at 9:08, and the thermal printer still remembers every time stamp. We filed it. We closed it. We went home. The warehouse kept working. They called it equipment failure, garbled scanners, bad labels, human error. But equipment doesn't print your name before you go missing. Labels don't warm under your fingers like skin. Paper doesn't learn new aisles in the dark. I was there, out of sight, between the rows. I watched the moment the boxes stopped being boxes. I'll tell you what they missed. Then you can decide if the city's right, or if the inventory is doing the counting. The city records warehouse doesn't sleep. It settles. Cardboard exhales. Plastic straps click back to their resting teeth. Fluorescents hum like they're thinking. They badged in at 9:08 p.m. Marisol Vega, 39, turned her ring with her thumb when she was thinking. She called the warehouse the library, as if a kinder word could change the air. Bashir Cole, 26, new to inventory, visitor lanyard still tucked in his pocket like a luck charm. Henry Kwan, 27, watch always 5 minutes fast, as if time might hear and keep up. Upstairs, behind wire glass, Mr. Coyle watched the monitors and the printer by his elbow. 58, supervisor. Belt creaked when he breathed. He handed down assignments through the cage window with the clipped neatness of a man who liked boxes to stay boxes. Vega, row H, bays 1 through 12. Quan, row L, end to end. Anything red tagged. You ping me. Cole, row J, start at the roll-up side and work inbound. You've got the zebra and the cart. Call in anything weird. And nobody swaps lanes. They nodded because that's what you do in rooms full of rules. The 3 split at the vestibule. Row H is tall enough to make you small. Marisol guided the lame-wheeled cart, thup, 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 and started her count. Dust lay in the seams like a fine, polite snow. Her scanner made obedient sounds. Present, present, present. She exhaled. Work felt like rails when it ran straight. Row J breathed colder. Bashir paced himself, reading old captions under his breath. A pawn sting, motel arson, tool marks, just to put words in the air so it would be less empty. Row L was a long corridor where sound didn't come back quite right. Henry kept one hand on the shelf uprights as he moved, like touching the building might keep it from turning sideways. I stayed out of their light and watched the moment the rows decided to stop being ordinary. It happened in 3 places at once. Marisol, row H, bay 5, wiped dust from a spine and found a label that hadn't yellowed. New, too new, crisp white, Sharp corners, no tape bleed. It didn't belong with the old stamped ink. Different subbay, H10 down aisle, not where she stood. H10, B9. Property, personal effects. Cole, Bashir, November 18th, 2007. She stood still and listened to the hum shift a half note. Bashir, Roj, Bay 7, scanned a box that should have given him a case number from 02. The zebra chirped, then swallowed a word and pushed up letters he hadn't asked for. Checked out. Pending. Release. 2025. November 21st. 2113. To Vega M. He laughed once because the body needs a place to put panic. Marisol, very funny, he said to nobody, and the aisle didn't laugh back. Henry, row L, bay 3, reached for a red tag box with a do not release strip bled into cardboard like a halo. When he pinged it, the zebra flashed a corridor map he didn't recognize and a line of text that matched the shoes on his feet. Deliver to row H, bay 10. Vega, M. Runner. Quan, H. 2022. Confirm on arrival. He stared at his watch, which declared 2017 like it was certain. Upstairs, Mr. Coyle's desk printer coughed, then found its throat. He tore off the strip without looking and set it down beside his elbow, ink still warm. Chain of custody. Prepared evidence box. ID H-10-B9. Release to Vega, Marisol. Date/time 2025-11-21-21-13. AUTHSIGNATUREONFIL Unhazi. He did not sign anything. The indent of his name existed anyway, pressed into pulp without ink. On row H, Marisol snapped the intercom. Supervisor? I've got a mislabeled personal box for Cole with tonight's date. Log it, Coyle said, watching the next strip spool itself. Don't touch the seal. On row L, Henry's radio scratched alive with Coyle's voice before he could call. Quan, runner duty. Come upstairs. There's a package needs back down to the cage. Henry hesitated. His scanner still showed his own name. The aisle he hadn't walked yet. The minute his watch would hit if it kept winning. He swallowed it and jogged for the stair. Roj's air learned a new trick. A low printer at the end cap started up without a hand to wake it. Bashir tore the label to stop the sound. It stuck to his glove and read a thing that hadn't happened. Read a livery, authorized. Pick up 2007. Cole. B. Door. Northeast roll-up. He peeled it off like it was hot. The backing took his fingerprint with it. Row H's aisle stretched, and then remembered how long it was supposed to be. Marisol rolled the cart toward Bay 10, because the order said H10B9, because that's where things go when you follow rules. The casters thupped faster. Bay 10 waited with something that hadn't been there on her last pass. Fresh white, clean tape, no dust. H10, B9, property, personal effects. Vega, Marisol, 11/21/21/13. She didn't touch it. She read it. She said nothing. Personal effects meant someone had already been lost. The label knew that before she did. Upstairs, Henry reached the wire glass office. Coyle slid a banker's box across the counter, already labeled. The label made his stomach step back. HHLRED. Sealed. Do not open. Vega. M2113. Cole. B. 27. Take it to the cage, Coyle said. Scan it on entry, then get back to L. Henry scanned to humor the machine. The zebra blinked once and showed him two names he knew, side by side with timestamps that would be true if seconds cooperated. He carried the box down the stairs like it might learn to move itself if he let it. On row J, Bashir cut right to the roll-up because the label told him he'd already been there. The motion sensor blinked, chain coughed, door moved 6 inches and locked like a decision. On row H, Marisol keyed the intercom with a voice she kept, even on purpose. Supervisor, confirm. Did you just print a chain of custody for H10B9 with my name? Coyle let his eyes slide to the strip. There was another beneath it now. Release complete. Cole. B2007. Bashir's hits first. I'm seeing regular garbage out of the thermal, he lied. Stay on your aisle. Henry pushed through the cage. The padlock hung straight, closed. The door stood open 2 inches, enough for paper to choose. Inside on the steel table, a stack of pink return to custody slips waited with the top line already indented where a pen would go. He set the banker's box down. The zebra pinged compliance in a tone he'd never heard. The screen flashed and gave him a confirmation he didn't ask for. Delivered, H. Cage. Releases pending, Vega, 2113. Cole, 2007. When he turned back into the rows, row H wasn't where it had been. Row J had learned a new bend. He took the long way by habit because habit is what saves you in buildings that like to move. He reached H10 and found the cart alone. Marisol wasn't with it. Her scanner lay on the shelf beside the fresh white box that said her name. The zebra's screen had gone to sleep on a message. Signature capture. Complete. Marisol, he called, casual like jokes. Hey, don't leave your aisle. We'll get yelled at. No answer. Only the sound warehouses make when they know what you're looking for. He cut across the cross aisle to J for Bashir. He broke the first rule, because names are heavier than rules. Bay 7 had a new box where an old one should have lived. The label was as clean as a thought, HJB7. Property, personal effects. Cole, Bashir. November 18th, 2007. Bashir's zebra lay on its side beneath it. A fingerprint caught an adhesive on a peeled label. The scanner still pulsed a small green heartbeat. It had a message waiting too. Release complete. 2007. Henry swallowed, tasted paper dust. He told himself they'd both gone upstairs to yell at Coyle. People went upstairs when rules broke. That's where you took complaints. He lifted the banker's box again because doing the next task is how you keep walking. He shelved it in the cage, slid it into place beside the violin case with chain of custody tags like cufflinks. The thermal printer near his elbow woke as if it had been waiting for that sound alone. It spit a new label. He didn't touch it. He could read it from where he stood. HLB3. Property. Personal effects. Quan. Henry. 1118. 2022. He ran. Row L took him back like it owned him. Every third fluorescent sighed. The rows remembered their new bends. The aisle arrived in jerks, the way time does when you realize you've miscounted minutes. Bay 3 had a box that hadn't lived there before. Fresh edge, tight tape, no dust. The label knew his name and the minute his watch wanted. He didn't touch it. He called up to the wire glass instead. "Boss?" His voice cracked on the S. "Where'd you send Vega and Cole?" Coyle stared at the monitors. He saw Henry calling. He saw row H with a cart and no people. He saw row J with a fresh white label and a scanner that still breathed. He saw his desk where the sign-out sheet lay on the clipboard, top line newly filled in with a pressure mark that matched a signature he would never give. Vega, M. 2113. Signed out. Cole, B. 2007. Signed out. His own name waited beneath, the time not kind. Coyle, R. 21. Signed out. He didn't pick up the radio. He picked up the pen. He didn't mean to sign. He meant to cross it out. Shk. Below, Henry reached for his zebra like a lifeline. He scanned the box that had learned his name. The device tried to speak and then chose a different kindness. Release in progress. Please wait. He backed away from his own label and tripped over a handle that shouldn't have been on the floor. The cart in row H had lost its grip. The rubber worn where fingers live lay at his heel, screws bright as if they'd never held anything. Upstairs, the printer made a final decision. Release complete, Quan H. 2022. Henry ran for the vestibule because people always run where they think doors are. The motion sensor blinked. The roll-up moved 6 inches and locked. He turned for the side door. Steele said no in a language that sounds like itself. He called again, Marisol. Bashir. Because names are ropes, and sometimes they hold. Row H and row J answered with cardboard. Somewhere down a long line of identical shelves, a lid slid against a box it had loved for years. Hiss, another followed. Hiss, hiss. Henry looked up and saw only labels. He looked down and saw the wet track, a pair of dark parallel lines, arrive at the toe of his boot from a direction that should have been a wall. He ran back into row L because it had his name, and at least that was honest. Bay 3 waited without moving. The box did what boxes do when their time comes. The warehouse held its breath. The tape warmed under a hand that wasn't there. The lid slid. Officially, a 12-minute power dip, a frozen gate. 3 workers who left their posts, then failed to return from break, then abandoned employment. What I saw, a supervisor upstairs in a room that shrank by 1 chair and then by 1 breath, watching a sign outline indent across hardboard without ink, aisles with new bends, fresh boxes where old ones should have been, personal effects that knew their owners before their owners went missing. No alarms, no screams that escaped the rows. Only the sound of cardboard learning new words, and a pen in an office no one would enter again after 21, finishing the last signature. Kate. They said outage. They said gate fault. They said staff abandonment. But the inventory knew their names before payroll did. Bashir, 20, Oh, 7. Hits first. Henry, 20. 22. Follows. Marisol, 21. 13. Waits her turn. Coil signs at 21. 21. Without lifting the pen. This wasn't a mistake. It was a system that learned to pre-file the dead. The rows bent to make room. The labels arrived clean. Personal effects meant the owner had already been lost. The label knew that before she did. Evidence didn't return itself. It collected. If you ever work the night shift, and a fresh white label appears with your name and a time that hasn't happened, don't touch the tape. Don't follow the aisle when it decides to be longer. Don't listen when the printer says complete, because once the inventory writes you down, the city can erase your badge, but the warehouse keeps your box. Printer were, chain of custody, prepared, release complete, Cole, 2007. Release complete, Quan, 2022. Signed out, Vega, 2113. Quiet. Then a single lid, hiss.